Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is LolaAjisafe here. We are reviewing Ready to Love. This is part 2 of the reunion episode. Just off the top, I feel like less happened here. I think we got what we needed from the first one, but we're still going to kind of go into it. So before I start, please don't forget to hit the like button, y'all. You come and you see my face. Yeah. It's summertime. I had to take the fur off again, but yeah, so you see my face, like the video. Second of all, if we haven't talked about it yet, drop it in the comments. Let's see what you think, and definitely hit the subscribe button. So it's just straight going into it, like this has been a lackluster season. Like we can say the truth. It feels like with each subsequent season it just gets more and more underwhelming. What's really going on? Let's go into it. So they continue the episode. Top of the episode, we're still talking about the love triangle, and two things to note here. Yeah, you know, so of course Morgan goes to the back, sit down. She needs a minute after she's called Tony a monster. Now I have said that, you know what, she's annoyed, she's hurt, she's lashing out. We know, I'm saying we know, like we know that, you know, all the work she's done tends to just fall to the ground. Once she gets upset, she lacks any control. Once she's annoyed, or once she's triggered, Morgan lacks any control. So she's snapping at him, acting crazy, calling him, well, I don't want to say acting crazy, but just acting out of control, because she knows how to act poised, but when she loses control, she loses control. So she lost control, got up, went to the thing. But something of note, and that just makes me go, is how Tony goes after her. Oh, I want to talk to you. And she's like, well, I don't want to talk to you because before filming for this reunion, you don't want to talk to me. You didn't have time for me. Oh, but now you have time for me. So it almost appears to me like Tony got one thing right when he said that they do have a toxic relationship. And honestly, at this stage of the game, yo, when we get to a certain age, whatever that age is for you, like we should be able to recognize some relationships that bring out the worst in us and walk away from them. It's not easy, probably easier said than done, but at this stage of the game, when you come into contact with someone who just brings out the worst in you, but there's this crazy chemistry as well, it's the work of the devil. Run. So, and I think I'd said it last week, where was it the week before? No, it was the, love me, I declare for you, choose me, I choose you ceremony, where I said that I felt proud that Morgan had decided to choose herself. Even though I could tell that she really wanted to be with him, she chose herself. And like I said, it's, these lessons, when you say you've learned a lesson, it's application of the lesson that matters, not just saying, oh, I learned the lesson. Because if you know that the theoretical aspect behind the lesson is, but you can't apply it, then that's an issue. So she's going to go through tests even when the cameras are not running, to really show if she's learned this lesson or not. Because Tony got one thing right when what he said last week, that they do have like a toxic dynamic, because y'all can talk till next Tuesday, there is love between them, but is it to their detriment? Now, if they go do the work and come back together, could it work? Yeah, like I'm not a therapist, but that would be the least that they need to do, would be to part and then each do some individual work. But as it is right now, when they get triggered, Tony he's not any better. Neither is Morgan. So they both have these things that when they get there, they go there. And then, some people talk about, the making up makes up for it. Like I said, at the top of this statement, at a certain age, when a human being comes in contact with you and brings out the worst in you, if this is meant to be like a romantic relationship, then it would behoove you to exit stage left. That's the best thing. So at this point, I'm just seeing them go back and forth, and I'm just like, yeah, yo, there's nothing here, folks. And to make it worse, it's almost like you can see where Tony is, playing a part, because they pan to a situation where he's sitting with Marcy with his legs crossed like nothing. Like, I don't want to sound mean, but he like sitting with the consolation prize, what, to make Morgan mad or to feed his ego? I don't know what it was. And I feel like, I feel like Marcia, it's Marcia. I feel like Marcia can see this, but she's just gonna, she's just gonna play along, she's gonna play along. So she's playing along, just watching him. But I don't know if she can see this. Like, I feel close up, she can see who and what Tony is representing. Sure. What started it? Point here is that the two women, Morgan and Marcia, who understandably had like an okay, I don't want to say they had a relationship. acquaintances. They had an okay chemistry as acquaintances, but now y'all are snapping at each other over Tony. Like, if y'all know anything about me at all, you know what I don't like is see two men snapping, beefing, squabbling, making any noise over a man. Please make noise over a child, make noise over your money, make noise over your bag, but not over a guy. Like, it just, and it was over. I'm not here to say who was wrong or who was right. Either one of them could have played the bigger person. They didn't. They both decided to play in the gutter, and I'm disappointed that y'all dressed in expensive gowns. Y'all know the cameras are running, and y'all acting a fool over homie in the pink jacket. I'm not. You're not gonna trigger me this episode. I'm just saying, like, so I've just even Z, like when Z mentioned it, Z's like, yeah, this is women arguing with each other. Is just, you know, it's one thing to have a disagreement with a fellow woman, but one is over a man. It's just like, it's like playing in the gutter. I'm sorry. Like, if you have some kind of contention, there's some kind of there's something between you and a guy, if it results, or you think you're required, if you feel that you're required to go back and forth with another woman over this guy, that's not the guy for you. I'm just gonna say it again. If you're in some kind of relationship, friendship, even situation, whatever it is you have with a member of the opposite sex that you might be interested in, if you feel a need, or you find yourself in a situation where you're going back and forth verbally with another woman about this individual, that person's not the person for you, because there should be such a line drawn, such a boundary drawn, where both parties, there'll be no confusion. You as the person in relationship with them, or the situationship with them, or friendship with them, you're clearing your position, so you don't even need to discuss it with somebody else, right? And then the other person on the other side should also be clear as to who you are. So there's no bone of contention. There's no point of misunderstanding. There's nothing to discuss here. So it's like, if you find yourself in that kind of situation where you have to go back and forth with someone, that person's not for you. I'm just saying. So that's another confirmation, if Morgan's watching this with us, that Tony's not for her. So I'm never going to go back and forth with who should have been the bigger person, and who was wrong, and whether I think, you know, Morgan's pattern shot was like she knew she was runner up. Sometimes it doesn't even mean it. It doesn't hold water to state the obvious. So Morgan stating the obvious, that don't mean nothing to me. It shouldn't mean nothing to anybody, because like, if you're confident in your position, you don't even have to state the obvious. Just let it lay there. Now, you know, they cut back to, I guess they're just cutting back and forth, or however they're clipping, but notice how with their editing, we didn't get to, and that does happen from season to season, we didn't get to see some people talk at all. Homie, I still keep forgetting his name, Mario something, homie that was the accountant that wanted to lose his life over Corvea. Like, he on the couch a couple times, but I hear Pim from him. I know they probably edited out whatever he had to say, but Pim, hi guy in the whole dinner jacket, sitting on the couch, and you'll play him like he's like a walk-on character. Like, he don't have a talking role. Homie, like, I might throw up his picture because his name is deserting me right now. Homie didn't even have a talking role. He was just there to make the couch look pretty or hold up the couch. Like, y'all really, Rates Love, y'all are really disrespectful. If I must say so. You're real disrespectful, because he didn't have a talking role this whole reunion. Y'all recorded and showed us a whole bunch of nonsense, but didn't give homie a talking role. But that's I digress. So we're going back to the, you know, Jeffrey and Andre and Cynthia. So they show us they go back, the deadpan to that first date between Cynthia and Andre, where I was just like, yo, this lady's sincerity, she, you know, burst out into tears. I don't know how I feel about it now. I mean, I still see Cynthia as a sincere somebody. You know, that's what we say, the way we say it. I still say as sincere, authentic, you know, authenticity comes through. But it's just like, I noticed in the whole packet, nobody deadpanned went back to the clip of her talking to, what's his name again, Andre, and making those disparaging comments about Jeffrey. Like, it just seemed real out of character. So the thing is, I wish they'd not even shown us those clips at all. That would have been nice and complete. But they just, because once again, I really dislike to see another woman putting another woman down because of a man. Yo, y'all can put your fist up for money, but for a guy, no, because it's a proven, it's a fact, it's a principle. If you feel that much like unsure, insecure about your position, where you find yourself cuffs up or verbal assault with another woman over a man, that's almost a guarantee that you mean nothing to him, or you don't mean enough to him. So anyway, we see the Cynthia piece, and then we see, you know, I'm distracted during this clip because now we're seeing more of Homie's golden shoes and his knickerbockers. Yo, I might throw a picture of knickerbockers here, but back the knickerbockers were like, you know, capris, like these capris that, you know, those, you remember those all day English costumes where the people, like the guards, you know, that would watch the Queen would wear these like shorts that would stop at their, just right below their knees with a little bow. That's what it looked like my boy was wearing. Andre was wearing knickerbockers, or like, okay, let's call it short capris, because knickerbockers were right below your knee. Capris go down a little lower to mid shin. So these knickerbockers, I'm like, he really feeling like he wearing something. Like this, the thing wasn't his size. But I'm not gonna go there. This need for, you know, men to wear these, you know, this, you know, skin tight, drain pipe look. Anyway, with the golden shoes, yo, let's keep this moving so I don't get distracted by that faux pas. But anyway, they're now flicking back now they're flicking to Jeffrey and him. So of course they give us, you know, we had started part 1 with this conversation. They're now giving us the second part of the conversation where it shows that Jeffrey has some insight, and I feel maybe if Andre had been more honest and sincere with her, because it's true, sometimes you may see some things about someone and not address it in live time, but it looks like he never sat down with her and addressed it at all. And what Jeffrey was saying is that, you know, it looked like Dre or Andre was overwhelmed by the fact that he would be responsible for 3 other children, somebody else's children, 3 of them, and probably got cold feet. And she could, you know, she felt that intuitively. She felt that, and if you had sat down and had a conversation with her about it, she may not have liked it, but she would have respected it. And so we'd be talking about something completely different here. But again, as grown adults, he didn't have that conversation, but he now wanted to turn the tables on her and make her feel bad about it. That's immature, and it's kind of wicked. Forget whether Jeffrey is this or whether Jeffrey is that, or she else. But I'm just talking about just in this point here, because I'm not. Jeffrey has her own, but the point here is the point where she can see that this guy is feeling overwhelmed, which is why she didn't pursue him. She saw, because he was saying she didn't reach out to him, when she saw that it looks like this guy's overwhelmed by the fact that I have 3 kids. Because she was very upfront. It wasn't news. So I'm not sure, you know, what really transpired in his mind, where after filming he realized the full depth of what was required of him. I don't know. What took away from Andre's position was that all he said, as Jeffrey is becoming insightful, talking about what she observed, she didn't insult him, at least with the editing. So she didn't insult him, but she gave an observation which was honest. I feel like that was an honest observation, which wasn't a negative for him or her, but just a clear observation that he clearly was overwhelmed by the fact that he would have to be a daddy to 3 children that he didn't father. What's Andre's response? Andre's response talk about, yeah, he looked at her, saw some things that she could improve on. That shows he lacks any accountability. So unfortunately, it looks like there are a lot of boys running around in grown bodies, because everything he said lacks any accountability. Oh yeah, maybe I still, yeah. That's not somebody you can have a real conversation with when you think about it, because all he could say was because usually, this is how I see it, when there's a misunderstanding between 2 people, the emotionally mature approach that's going to bring about results, either for you or for both of y'all, is when you look at the part you played in. And she's looking at the part that she's like, oh, this is what I came with, and he couldn't handle it. He's looking at her and saying she could do things, could have handled things better. Like, talking about the pot killing the kettle black. Yeah, clearly there's no love lost over this Andre character. Hopefully he's just playing a character and he's a little better than what we're seeing, because that's a disappointment. So, you know, I mean, I like Jeffrey's conclusion. She's, at the end of the day, she was able to sit quietly. And I guess maybe because the stage was now clear, because at this point when they're having this conversation, everybody else was off stage. So in that moment she probably felt less on. I was able to have that moment of clarity and clearness and just speak clearly and be self-reflective and say, you know what, like, you know, either put a ring on it or just hush. Like that's a whole new show title, which makes me think that, yeah, if I have time, I might, you know, hit, put a ring on it episodes. I just haven't had a lot of time. I could barely keep up with Ready to Love with the workload, but I'll see what I can do about Ready, put a ring on it. But back to the show at hand. Jeffree has work to do, but at least she was able to show us that she kind of understood what he did, even though he's yet to really fess to it and say, you know what, I wasn't grown enough to have that conversation with you. Because nobody's saying that he has to feel that certain. If you don't feel that way about it, then you can't force him. But at least he could have given her that much respect by actually speaking with her directly, but he didn't do that. He just kept pointing at her. And you know what they say about pointing? When you point fingers at somebody else, you got one finger pointing at the other person, you got 3 pointing right back at you. Alright, dun dun dun. Next packet, Tony and his harem. That's what we're going to call it. So they now pan to Tony. We know this is where Natasha's going to come in. We know that it's coming in. So they finish up the last of the stupid Morgan or Marcia debacle nonsense, back and forth rubbish. They could have edited that out. Real talk, they could have edited that. I didn't really care. I didn't care for it. But anyway, the truth is, they left that piece, and then so they're now addressing the Natasha thing. Okay. Natasha states that when she got kicked off the show, because maybe she was the first person to get kicked off, that's why I don't remember her. When she got kicked off, she says, I don't know the validity of it. Even Tony's not saying no, he didn't say it, so he probably did say it. Talk about he had offered to leave the show for her. I guess he was just running game. At this point, it looked like guy was just running game. Like, yo, my G, at this late stage, but anyway, people will be running game into their 60s. So what am I saying? Like, yeah, until he gets some ED, he's still gonna be running game. So at this point, let me just not even say what age people. Anyway, so he was running game when Natasha said, offered, oh, I could leave the show for you. But once he got what he wanted, in her words, he ghosted her, didn't speak with her, and blocked on all social platforms. Yo, my G, like, I feel like at a certain age, like if you can't have a clear conversation with somebody and then put it to bed, you can't even have a real conversation. All you do is just block them and cut off communication. That's childish at best. Like, I understand how sometimes you might need to block someone, maybe for your own protection, maybe not because of them, but because you just don't want to hear from. Maybe I can see how that can happen. But if you can't even have a close out conversation, then I begin to really question the level of your maturity. According to Natasha, he just cut her off cold and blocked her. So Tony decides to let us know that he decided to do what Natasha said he did. So he did do that because it had come to his attention that she had revealed their tryst, or whatever you want to call it, their situationship, to producers on the show. And he felt like she was trying to gain some clout. First of all, who do you think he is? Clout for what? More like embarrassment. Like, you ain't all that. Like, how does clout come into it? Like, where you feel like maybe I don't know why she disclosed to producers. Usually we like to hide those things, or maybe she decided to disclose it because sometimes shame is the shame is in keeping it a secret. When you disclose it, then it's no longer. I don't know. I'm not here to speak for why she disclosed it, whether she wanted time, or maybe because usually they do like follow up. I believe producers will follow up with the contestants, and maybe on a follow-up call or check-in, she had confessed to them that she and Tony had still been seeing each other. They had something going on. And obviously, by the time they got to her, that was at the end. So probably she was a little, salty about it. I don't know. But anyway, it got to him that the producers knew. Hence, the reason why he now disclosed to Morgan. If the producer didn't know, if Natasha hadn't said anything, because before I said I give him points for disclosing, but now I see why he disclosed, because it had already come to his attention. So he knew it was going to come out, and he knew good and well that if he didn't tell Morgan up front, there were going to be some problems. So now we know why he disclosed, this guy. Anyway, Mr. Not Idris Elba, please sit your ass down and just go heal. At this, Natasha had said a couple things, kind of almost mirroring what Morgan had said, but notice that the part where he was trying to shut her down, he was trying to talk over her. Are there things that he has done to both women that they are ashamed to discuss? Natasha was saying there's some things I could say, but I'm not saying. Why are they still protecting him? I'm not here to throw out those big terms, he's this or he's that, but he's something. So they get to one part after Natasha's done her little declaration, and then it turns out that Tony has been trying to hang out with Marcia. Boom, right there. That's why these women are fighting now. That's why Marcia is feeling like she has chest, like she has position. Although she know. So this is what I'm seeing, because there was a point where Tony said he'd been trying to ask out to dinner, but she's refusing. She's only meeting up on lunch because she knows she's the runner-up. When you, as a woman, you know you're the runner-up. You don't even want to put yourself in that situation, because if he has an option to get what he wanted initially or originally, or his first choice, he will utter any human. If a human is able to get their first choice, they'd rather be with their first choice than the runner-up. That's how it rolls. That's how it is. So Marcia, knowing she's the runner-up, is not trying to get drawn into it, but she still can't stay away from it. It's like a kid playing with a candle flame. Still putting her finger in it, but not the whole finger. So she's feeling a certain way that, yeah, he's hanging out with me, he's not hanging out with you. And then Morgan may have gotten wind of that or knows something's up. And so that's where that little underpining or little aggression is coming from between the two of them. And like I said, if somebody puts you in that situation where you are not sure of where you stand or who you are, that's not the situation for you. That's not the person for you. You know, this is what I think. What he decided to do is, once he couldn't get Morgan on his terms, he decided to ice her out to try and control the situation. You know, there's this, game these people play where, in order to gain control of the situation, they'll do a little silent treatment, ice you out, block you off, because the assumption is if they pull back, you'll come running. So he pulls back, doesn't give her time of day, hanging out with Marcia, just waiting for Morgan to stew so she'll come running to him. That's what he was trying to do, but it didn't quite work out the way he wanted it to. But I remember she did say she was reaching out to him, so he was playing a game, because it's clear that he likes her, but he played and lost. So what this clown essentially did was, he saw that he couldn't get Morgan on his terms. He wanted to regain power because it seemed like they had an equal dynamic. And after she turned him down, he was like, okay, I'm going to show you who the boss is. Like, his ego was bruised. Oh, they did talk about his ego on stage, but yeah, this is all hypothetical, me piecing it together. But it looked like after she turned him down, because she was like, this is not working for him, he decided that he was going to gain control. He wanted to gain control, he wanted to gain power. And in order to do that, he was going to cut her off and make her come scrambling back to him. Men do this all the time, people. Trust me, they do this all the time. They'll wait for you, they'll pull back to see, because there's always a mechanism, there's a little game they'll play. Like, if they pull back and you come running, like, I got her. I don't think Morgan came running like that. She did try and reach out to him a couple times, but she figured, like, if you don't have time for me, then fine. So it didn't quite work out the way he wanted it to work out. So he coming on, so that's why he's acting all hurt. He's acting all hurt because his little game he used to play with, the game he plays with girls on, didn't quite work on Morgan. Even that's why he went as far as reaching out to Marcia. Should be pissed off at him and shouldn't even entertain a phone call from him. Because clearly he's using Marcia. He's tried everything. First of all, he pulled away from Morgan. She should come running to him. When she saw he wasn't reaching out, she kind of let him be. Then he figured if he brought Marcia into the equation, he'd make Morgan even more jealous. You know what they say? Don't let them see you sweat. So he didn't get to see Morgan sweat. So he's just playing. This is now I'm just seeing, as I'm seeing how everything's unfolding, this guy was just playing a game. At this late stage of the game, you're still playing games. You can't be honest and frank with someone that, you know what, I messed, whatever it is that you're going to say. But if you're still, he was still running game. This guy's still running game. Morgan, run. This guy's still running game. I hope you can see what he was doing. I hope you see what his plan was, because that's what it looked like. That's what he was doing to me. So you can't convince me anything else was doing. Like, all of a sudden he discovered that he wanted Marcia. No, he running game. He's still trying to gain that upper hand. He wants the upper hand in the relationship. That's the only way he can function. This guy, like, I won't call him, the M word, but I won't call him the N word. And I don't mean a ninja either, because he's like showing some tactics that are like just scaringly similar. I mean, finally, Nephew Tom said something about the fella, about how the fella shouldn't be running game. Like, yeah, you late. Like, if it's now you're talking about they shouldn't be running game, like, where were you? So you just mean to me that Nephew Tom just showed up for filming. But I mean, that's what he showed up for, yeah. So he wasn't really bonding with the guys. But like, if all this has been going on and all this goes on, then you're not talking to the guys, or maybe the guys aren't listening. But finally, Nephew Tommy now he realized that he's meant to be Switzerland, so he back to playing Switzerland. Yeah. So we get to the Anthony, NP, and Cynthia packet. We see their first date, which is really cute. She's of course, once again, Cynthia's sincere. And then Anthony's talking about, I think when she was on the date, when she asked him about what the ultimate thing for him, I noticed that when he talked about marriage, he smiled. Like he really was something. He wasn't saying it to please her. He was actually interested in getting to a point where he'd want to be with someone and actually marry the person. I don't know, that's why I just noticed. I'm like, okay, this guy's probably still a good guy. He might be quite vanilla, but there's nothing wrong with vanilla, yo. You can put sprinkles, you can put a little something on vanilla. You can make vanilla be anything. Just the plain vanilla taste sometimes is just great. But hey, I digress. Let me bring it back. So what was apparent when they finally get to their packet? It's been going on since, but finally we're talking about them. You notice they're seating, and then somebody else said it at the same time. He's seated like this, and she's away from him. Like, I'm like, wait, hold on. Either way, it's like I'm like, why you have to turn away? Why don't you you don't have to hold his hand, you could sit with him. So it's apparent she's already telling us, like, they're playing all this suspense where you go, clearly these people aren't together. Cynthia gives us this politically correct answer about, yes, she realized that she wasn't emotionally available. She had said some things, she had done some things. Yo, I don't know what will happen between those two, and I don't know if we're ever gonna know. Because Cynthia looked like she could be like CIA. Like, once it comes in, it doesn't come out. It's on a need-to-know basis, and we probably don't need to know. Anthony too looks like kind of quiet person, so I don't know if we're ever really gonna find out what happened. At least the end of this episode, we didn't find out what happened. I mean, Mercedes made a good observation, which I thought made sense. Was like, even though they're not together, you don't see any malice or anger between them. Facts. I mean, there's a little like tension. That it's like, to me, it's a statement. If you feel the need to do this, like, away from the person, it feels like she was making a statement, but a very subtle statement. Like, we ain't together. Like, who is together? Suanna and what's his name? Blaze. I call him Blaze. Blake. Suanna and Blake. That's it. And even that, I'm just looking like, okay. Yeah, this season was a bust. What did I say? It was a bust. They went back to the Mark Anthony and Jeffrey and Mark Anthony and Mercedes. Okay, who was why? You could see, like, he and Mercedes and Mark Anthony were hugged up. Like if they say they're not together, like, maybe they're friends with benefits at the very least, something, because they hugged up really. Like, if you're somebody's friend, yeah, you can be, but not the way they were hugged up. They were hugged up like there was something more than platonic going on between them. There was something else. And what to give us some context, I think she had said that the reason why she did turn him down was not just because it looked like they would have a long distance relationship, but then it looked like it would mirror his past relationship, because he had previously dated a flight attendant and they'd been long distance. So she's like, why would I play myself like that? So I kind of get a little bit more, but everybody want to know, are y'all together or y'all not? Like, are y'all going to test it out and not say anything and to see if it works before you declare what it is? So you don't have to go through the whole, everybody's in your business. Is that what's going on? Yeah, I know. Like, what do I have to say to you people? So at the end of the day, Blue maybe is or maybe not with Kayla, because there's some word on the street talk about, like, they're making arrangements, so he didn't want to come. They're empty-handed. And then Blake and Suan. That's really it. There was nothing else to discuss. Yeah, nothing else, guys. And so we've come to the end of this part 2, end of the season. Please don't forget to like the video, drop a comment, let me know what you think, because I'm not impressed. And if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Let's moving on. Like, let's see. Like I said, I'm going to try and put a ring on it. I missed quite a couple of episodes, but I'll see if I can do that. But at the end of the day, this really left a lot to be desired. It was an anticlimactic season. Guys, I'm done.